Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead while other people are signing in, let's go ahead and talk about how things have gone so far. If we have questions about any activities, or just, after you've had time to kind of reflect on the past couple of days, if you've had any questions about what we've covered. Or if anybody had questions about yesterday, after maybe trying out that job scan site, questions or comments.
Oh, I guess I had one. So with the
Yeah.
applicant tracking system, I got mine to work, and
Okay.
so I'm gonna start like restructuring my resume a little bit. But I was wondering if different formats would affect it, like a PDF versus like a Word document. Would that affect like what's gonna like show up in the thing? We talked about it a little bit, but I was wondering like I scanned two of mine and I got drastically different results. So
Okay. Yeah, so ideally you want to try to do a PDF each time. Um, PDFs are just known to go through the applicant tracking systems a lot easier. A Word document might go through okay, but you're really safer going with the PDF. Good question.
perfect. I just wanted to double check that, make sure I didn't
Yep.
miss anything.
Yep. Any other questions about what we've gone over so far? Okay. And I want to start today's session just because we're kind of learning as we go here. This is our first one that we've done. So I want to start today's session by kind of asking you, what is your experience so far with networking? So today's conversation is going to be around networking, the obvious points being like LinkedIn and things like that. But what is your experience so far with networking? Maybe what are you struggling with? What would you like to learn about? I just want to get some feedback from you all about networking in general.
There we go. So I guess for like me, I've been trying to get in touch with like a whole bunch of different like directors, for example. Like I'm talking to one that's in Detroit. Um, but at this point, like it's harder to get in because if you're an alumni, you're no longer a student, so they're maybe not as willing to help you. But do you have any ways where you can kind of like set that up where you can be like, hey, can I shadow you? I'm not technically a student anymore, but is there any like good, I guess, routes that you could take there?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the best route for that is to be connecting with other alum on LinkedIn. So we're finding that as long as you have like a commonality on LinkedIn, it's a lot easier to connect. Is that primarily where you're connecting is LinkedIn?
So for some of that stuff, it's more like me just like cold starting just
Okay.
straight from their website and talking to them
Okay.
from there.
Yeah, and so that's where we're finding a lot that our students are having a lot of success, mainly going through LinkedIn, using the alumni tool that we're going to show today. And that's because you'll notice, like, even in an interview, sometimes if someone's interviewing you, they'll say, "Oh, you're a fellow CMU chip." Just having that commonality can be really big sometimes, and so it can feel a little awkward to kind of cold reach out to people. You might find that for sure. But having that commonality and using this LinkedIn alumni tool can really make not only make it a little easier, but will make people more likely to reach back out to you, and we're finding that students and alum have a lot of success using that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else that anyone has maybe struggles with networking or things that they really want to make sure that we cover today with networking? Okay. All right, so I think we'll dive right in then. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So I'm going to pull up LinkedIn. All right. Can you all see that okay?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So, a couple of things about LinkedIn. Hopefully, a lot of you already have LinkedIn. If you don't, super, super easy to sign up. Go to linkedin.com, you register. I do not feel that you need to sign up for a premium account. I've never done that, and I've still got a ton of connections. Um, you'll notice I have 500 plus connections. That is not because I am just amazing at LinkedIn. I do feel like I have a decent strategy with LinkedIn. However, I did get hacked, and that is why I have so many connections. So that brings me to my first point is make sure you set up your security, not only with LinkedIn, but with all of your social media. Um, I think, making sure that you have like the 2 points of sign on, which I now have set up and I've never had an issue since. But when I first started out, I didn't really think about those things. And so I just, did your standard security with just a password, never changed my password, used it across multiple things, your standard things that you're not supposed to do. And so just make sure that you're setting those things up and making sure you're changing your passwords, all those things that you should be doing. But it's real. You do get hacked if you don't do those things. And LinkedIn is actually one of the companies that's really good about making sure they keep you pretty secure. So when you do get hacked, you actually have to submit a notarized form proving your identity. So they're really good about making sure that you get your account back and everything, and it's you. But just make sure you set that up. So for my LinkedIn account, a couple things here. Profile picture. Sophie and I literally took these profile pictures ourselves with an iPhone. So I think we talked about this the other day. Nothing fancy. You do not need to go have a headshot taken. You don't need to pay for it. Just have a friend take a picture of you in front of a blank background, or in our case, we took it in front of the seal. Whatever works for you. But take it in portrait mode if you have that on your phone. It makes for a really nice profile picture. But you can take your own pictures. It does not need to be anything that you pay for. As far as what you list for your main like title, if you're currently looking for a position, I would be very careful about listing currently seeking and then like a specific position. And that's mainly because you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into one thing. So, if a company's searching for something, say you're looking for a human resources position and you put currently searching for human resource management positions. But they say, "Oh, you know what? This person, now that I'm looking at their profile, they'd be really good for our, I don't know, training and development position, which is probably part of human resources, but I'm just using this as an example. So they see that, well, because you've put yourself down for human resources, maybe they're kind of unsure if you'd even consider that. That's a rare case, but you just want to be careful about what you're putting yourself down as. So LinkedIn typically is going to pull your previous position and put that there. Um, if you're in a current position, you can put that. But just be careful about what you put there. And that's something that we can help you with as well to kind of formulate what would be the best wording. So as we go down, and obviously this is kind of like the back end of mine, so you'll see a bunch of stuff here, but for my experience, have pretty much put most of my resume on here. So reverse chronological, most current position to least current. So I've only put my relevant experience on here and only dated back to 2010. So most of my current experience in the last 10 years was all in higher ed. So that's all the stuff that's in here. I did put my bullet statements down so you can clearly see what I've had experience in. Making sure that I have like numbers, percentages, anything that I can show with details like I would on my resume. I also have that on LinkedIn. I have my education on there. I added licenses and certifications. So my certificate in online instruction is on there. I can also put down any skills and endorsements. Now, I think this is an awesome section that LinkedIn offers. So you can put things that you feel like you're skilled at. So for mine, I put like customer service, career counseling, time management. I have more as well. And then people can go in here and say, yeah, I think she's good at that too. And they can endorse me for those things. What's great about this is an employer, if they're looking at my profile, it's like an automatic recommendation letter, right? They go on here, they say, oh, look at all these people that say Erica's good at customer service. Then they can look at those people's profiles, see how qualified they are, and go from there. You can also ask people for recommendations. This is not something I have explored, but I've seen other people do this, and it's really, really neat because this is like a full recommendation letter. So I could say, hey, I could ask my current boss for a recommendation. They could write up a recommendation on here, and I could have literally letters on here from current previous bosses, maybe coworkers, maybe previous instructors, things like that. So that way employers could also see that on here. For me, when I'm on a hiring committee, we look right away at things like LinkedIn. So yes, we look at resumes. Yes, we look at cover letters, but LinkedIn's one of the first things that we're looking at to explore a candidate. I also put my accomplishments on here. So different scholarships that I have, different organizations that I'm in, my publications, and then you can actually link those to publications. And then a lot of people don't think this part's important, but it really is. So different things that you're following. It's important because people can look at these and say, okay, well, these are the things that she's interested in. And that can really tell a lot about a person. Not only that, but that can help you too, because then on your profile, those are the different things that you're going to see, maybe different positions that pop up from that organization. So really important that you fill all of these different things out. There's many other things that you can do too. So you can add a section. I could put an intro about myself. I could do an about section. I could add volunteer experience if I have a lot of volunteer experience. So there's a lot of really cool stuff you can add here. Super easy to do. You just add a section, go through here, and then it goes through and it adds those things and you're able to type them in. So really easy to navigate. One other thing I want to show on here, because I don't think a lot of people know this, but when you go to put like your LinkedIn profile on your resume, you can edit the URL. So we always suggest that you put your LinkedIn URL on your resume. It's just another source for an employer to easily go and view something else about yourself. But if you click this edit public profile and URL, it's going to take you to this page with a little pencil next to your URL, and then you're able to edit it. Typically, when you're assigned a URL, it's going to have your name and a ton of numbers and letters. And that's just something that looks kind of messy on your resume. So I suggest changing it to just maybe your first name and your last name, or something just really simple. That way, when you go to put it on your resume, it looks really clean. All right, Sophie, so I am going to go ahead and turn it over to you to talk about exploring on how to look at jobs on LinkedIn.
Perfect. So if you just go to the home screen,
Yep.
on the top, you're going to see on that top toolbar jobs with the little briefcase by it. Let's go ahead and click that. For those of you who were here for Handshake, it's going to be similar to that. So you can search in the top bar, a title or skill. So let's just say human resources assistant or manager. Either one is fine. Okay, and then let's say you were looking in Detroit, Michigan. We're going to put that in the location. Perfect. Okay, now it's going to bring up all of those jobs that match your search. So, similar to Handshake, it's going to show you, the different things that they're looking for, what they're, and each posting is different. Some might give a lot of detail on the company. Some might give a lot of detail on the, job candidate that they're looking for. It all kind of depends. But one thing that I like about LinkedIn is you can see how many people have applied to the job. So that's over on the left there, Erica, under job. So this one has 30 applicants. This is useful to know because some jobs might have over 100 applicants. And so a way to kind of beat that is applying when closer to when it was posted. So you can actually see on the top, one of the filters is date posted. And if you go to within the past week or past 24 hours, you're going to be one of the first applicants. So let's just see what for past 24 hours, what we have. Okay, we have Romulus, Michigan. Let's try that one and just see. So like this one, for instance, has 2 applicants.
Whoops, sorry.
It's okay. That one has 3 applicants, so you can see it's a lot less, and this is a good way to get your information in early. Now, if Erica stays on this page, you can also see under connections, which is to the right of jobs, you can see how many people from CMU work there. So this one has 56 people. So if you click on that, you're able to see all of the people who work there. You can connect with them. You can message them. So it's a really great way to kind of make a connection within a company that maybe you're looking at working in. So there's other filters you can use at the top. So if you go back, Erica, and maybe further than that, go back a little bit more before we put, okay, so here we go. You got experience level. So for those of you who are just graduating, you're going to want to put entry level. If you're looking for an internship, you can put that, just because that will filter out all the jobs. So if you're looking for an internship, you don't want the feed of jobs, populated with a bunch of director positions and things that you're not qualified for. So I use that experience level thing just to get the jobs that I would actually be able to, that I'm qualified for. You can also go to job type, and that will give you full, part-time, contract, volunteer. There's a remote button that you can use as far as if you're looking for that type of work. And then under all filters, there's a couple other things that you can do on the right there. Yeah. So when it was posted, kind of some of the things that we already looked at: job type, remote, location, industry. Sorry. A couple other things that you can see that you can filter by. I think on the bottom there's salary. Yep. So benefits. You can filter by all of those different things. So that's kind of the gist of applying to jobs on LinkedIn. Anything to add, Erica?
No, and we'll cover this in a second here too. But the big thing too with seeing when there's alumni there and you said reach out, I know that can feel kind of awkward, but know that it's awkward for everybody. So just reaching out and saying something, not saying like, hey, I'm applying, can you help me out? I'm an alum. But instead saying, hey, I'm an alum, this company looks great. Can you tell me what you like about working for them? That way you're kind of like starting that connection. That's what networking is all about. And then that gets that conversation going. So then you can start to start connecting, asking more in-depth questions, but you don't want to start it off by asking a favor.
Right. And LinkedIn, the whole point of it is for networking. So, I mean, that's the whole point, reaching out to other people, getting to know other people, and networking. So don't be afraid to send that email or sorry, that message to connect with other people. That's the whole point. Let's show you guys now the alumni tool, which we referenced before. But so you'll go up to that top search bar, go to your main page, and type in Central Michigan University. It's going to bring you to their main LinkedIn page.
Whoops, you got to spell it correctly when
Right
you
there,
do it
just
too, guys.
that one.
Sorry. There we go.
There you go. Click that one. Okay, so this is going to be their main LinkedIn page. Under that first following and view website, there is an alumni little button. So go ahead and click that. And this is really cool because you can see people on LinkedIn based on where they live. This is people that went to CMU, where they live, where they work. You can look at where they studied. So what they do. So let's just say you're looking to get a job in Detroit at Ford. All right, and then you scroll down and you can see all of the people that that kind of category fits. You can see if you have shared connections with them, and this would be another time a great way to connect and reach out to them. Again, if you're looking for a job at Forward and when living in Detroit, again, reach out. Say, you don't want to say, like Erica said, I'm looking for a job, but something to get the conversation started. You can also type in things. So let's just say your major's not on there. You can go into that search bar and do it as well. But it will bring up most things. So.
And you'll notice we have over 151,000 alumni on here. So we've had students, I know I can think of a particular situation. We had a student reach out to someone at Google that was an alum, and they had coffee with them. So I always think of it as if you can literally find someone at Google, you can find anyone on here.
Yeah.
So really, really simple to use as with the filters. And like Sophie said, you can type anything in here. So maybe like I know a couple of you, I think, are looking for like museum collections. So maybe we type in museum studies. And then we can scroll down and see different things on here as well. So if you're not finding the things you're looking for, you can definitely type things in.
Yeah. So that is the alumni tool and how to search for jobs on LinkedIn.
Do we have any questions so far on LinkedIn? Does everybody feel pretty good about using it? Everybody like the alumni tool? Because I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, I think that's great too.
Yeah, it seems really, really convenient.
Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully you can all use that. Couple other things we wanted to show you, mainly are just a couple other ways to network. So I know over COVID has been like really, really hard to even think of networking in person. But there's definitely things out there. And so I'm going to show one locally for Mount Pleasant, but know that this is something that's locally in most cities and towns. So it's called the Young Professionals Network. So I'm going to bring up our Mount Pleasant one, but you can search this for most areas. So it's called YPN, so Young Professionals Network, and then you would just type in your town or city. I will tell you personally, I did go to a Mount Pleasant one before. It is awesome. And what's so cool about this is there's so many different industries. So it's not just for one industry. You're not just going to meet other people for me, like in higher ed. I literally met people in real estate, in the hospitality industry, across all kinds of industries. And what was so cool about that is for me, maybe you think, oh, I'm never going to need to network with these people. Why would I need to reach out? Well, I was working with a career fair that I was planning. And I ended up networking with somebody that worked in hospitality here and actually worked for a local Holiday Inn. And I ended up using her as a connection to host one of our events because we needed to bring some employers to town. So you never know when you're going to use those connections. And I mean, I just had such a great experience. I met so many people. I highly, highly, highly recommend them. I think they are great events to go to. You just never know when a connection is going to lead you to something. I have gotten every job that I've ever had in my life because of networking. So, I will tell you that networking is just such an amazing tool, whether you do it on LinkedIn, whether you do it in person, and it doesn't have to be specifically like, okay, I have to join like a networking thing. There's so many professional organizations out there, like we showed you yesterday on that What Can I Do with This Major site. There's many professional organizations within all of your industries that you can join as well that you could do virtually. Like for human resources, for instance, I feel like we use that example a lot, but there's a chapter of SHRM out there for every state. So, joining something like that and being a part of some type of professional organization is another great way to get involved. And so I just can't stress enough how much networking is so, so beneficial. Now, if you do go to a networking event, some things to keep in mind and some things to bring. I would always try to bring business cards if you can. You want to be able to exchange business cards with people. You want to be able to have contact information with people because, you can remember people's names all you want, but to be able to have that contact information is really great. You know, go and be able to look those people up later to connect with them. Um, you know, connect with all those people on LinkedIn afterwards, after you go to an event. That's so, so important. That's what LinkedIn is for, right? If you use Facebook, maybe connect with them on there as well. Ask them if that would be okay. Um, you know, depending on what type of event you go to, maybe make sure if it's like an event at a nicer venue, dress professionally. If it's more of a social event, that's okay too, but just know where you're going, right? We've all seen that commercial where the girl's kind of going in and out and she thinks she's going to a costume party, but she's not. So just make sure you know where you're going. Make sure you know kind of like the atmosphere that you're going to. Um, Maybe bring a Padfolio so you can take down some notes when you're going to this type of event. You don't want to be unprepared. So just have some source of business cards, something to take notes on. And then don't be afraid to kind of step outside of your box. Introduce yourself. Every time you introduce yourself, when they say their name, repeat their name. So if I'm introducing myself to Sophie, I say, "Hi, my name is Erica." She says, "Hi, my name is Sophie." I say, "Hi, Sophie." That way her name is in my head. I try to remember her name. You don't want to look unprofessional and forget people's names. You know, I'm not good with names personally, but I make myself be good with names at these type of events. So it's really all about making sure that you're setting yourself up for success at these type of events. Do you have anything to add, Sophie?
Yeah, two things. So another way I've seen recently with people connecting as far as LinkedIn is a lot of times we'll be on webinars, and I don't know how common that is for you guys, but they'll drop their LinkedIn and say, "Hey, connect with me," or they'll see my name after and connect with me. So if you're in any type of like webinar or online type of situation, you can drop your LinkedIn in for that. And then secondly, as far as like the networking events, here's where you can use your elevator pitch, maybe a short and condensed version, but a lot of times when you meet somebody, they're going to like ask what you do and like who you are and stuff. So that which we practiced a couple days ago might come in handy for a networking event. So making sure, you know, you don't want to sound totally rehearsed, but have those main points that you can kind of tell them so they get a good idea of who you are as a professional and yeah, be able to remember some things about you. So having your elevator pitch ready to go is going to be beneficial for that.
Awesome. All right, so let's open it up for questions. We just went over a lot. We went over LinkedIn, how to network, all of that good stuff. So I'm sure you guys have some questions for us.
I guess one question I kind of have is if we're like reaching out to an alumni through LinkedIn, is there anything we should maybe avoid asking, or something in your experience is kind of like a red flag, like that's too much, or that's sort of like a weird thing to ask, like anything just like overtly bad?
I think the biggest thing is just avoid asking, like, can you get me a job, right? Being like really direct about that. The biggest thing is just trying to stick with asking them for like tips, strategies, what they enjoy about their job, what they enjoy about the company.
Yep.
Keep it positive. You never want to go on a negative note, like, "Hey, I've heard bad things about this company. Can you give me some insight?" You never want to start off on a bad or negative note. So as long as you're keeping things positive, you're not like, you know, directly asking them for a job, I think you're safe.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. What other questions or comments do we have?
So kind of like going off that. So basically, we need to take the long route. So just if you can just slowly work it in, then. So like just play the long game.
Yeah, I know. I know it's kind of like you want to just be like, "Hey, can you help me?" But the purpose of this tool is really to network, not to ask like, "Hey, I need a job." So, what I always say is if you apply to a job, right away connect with all the alumni you can on LinkedIn. So, yes, you might not hear back from a lot of them, but you might hear back from one, and that one person could be your in. So, yes, it's gonna seem like, you know, the job search is frustrating. It might seem like it's just taking forever, but it's worth it if you get that one in.
All right, thanks.
Yep. What other questions do we have or comments?
Actually, sorry, I have one more.
Sorry.
When you said business cards, and some of us are currently not in our industry that has business cards that we have, is there any tips to like making your own, I guess?
So, a couple different things. I would go like Vistaprint is super cheap to print business cards. And they have templates very easy to make. So, I would do that. There's a site called Canva, which we use a lot in our office that you can make your own business cards on, and then you can submit them to places like Staples or Vistaprint as well. CMU does make business cards too. They go through the sign shop, I believe. I'm not sure how much they charge, but you could get them made through them as well.
All right, cool, thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm going to bounce off that actually.
Yeah.
What would you recommend putting on a business card if like you're not in the field yet, like you're trying to get into
Yeah.
it? Is there a good term for like experienced but not experienced?
Yeah, so I think for that you could put like even like title of your major. I wouldn't put seeking or anything like that. I think I usually think that that kind of looks bad, but you know, you could put like remind me of your major.
I'm a public history major.
Public history. So you could put like your name and then you could put contact information and then just put like public history on there. You don't really have to put a ton of details. The main purpose of the business card is so that they have your contact information. That's not necessarily to make you stand out. The impression is what makes you stand out. The business card is what gives them your contact information. So you don't even really have to put anything, but I think public history would be okay to have on there so they remember what your interest area is.
Perfect. That makes sense. I just didn't want to like roll up with one that should like confidently say unemployed or something
Yeah,
because then I
don't,
feel like
yeah,
that'd be bad.
that or seeking or anything like that. I always think that I don't like when people put those. I don't think that that really looks good. So, any other questions? These are all great questions. Okay. Well, since there's just a few of you, we are going to stick around. And we're more than happy to help with LinkedIn profiles or any questions you have now that we're kind of wrapping up the week. One thing I want to add is that you will get an email with recordings and the worksheet that we had on elevator pitches at probably tomorrow. So you'll get all that information so you can review these things. Sophie and I are also both available for appointments. I'm going to put my email in the chat if Sophie, if you want to do the same.
Yep.
That way you can reach out to us. I know some of you already have. Basically for activity today, we just wanted to make sure you got your LinkedIn profile set up, and there's not many of you, so I think doing, some breakout rooms wouldn't necessarily be beneficial. So we'll just stick around. If you want specific help with your own LinkedIn profile, we are here to help you today. And then if not, like I said, feel free to set up an appointment. We are more than happy to help one-on-one in those appointments as well. And thank you guys so much for attending boot camp. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for hosting it. It's been a great experience.
Oh,
Good.
Yes,
good
same
to
here.
hear. That's great.
Sorry, I actually do have another question. I didn't bring it up earlier because we kind of moved on from it. But also, when you're talking about social media and like when employers are like looking at that, like where is that happening in the process, and like how often, I guess, are they
Yeah.
checking that, and what sites are they usually checking?
So I will tell you just from my experience being on hiring committees, we check it right away.
Yeah.
So
I was
say
gonna
you
say
get a
before even an interview, like, do we want
Yeah.
to grant them an interview even?
Yeah, so we get that stack of resumes. We decide, okay, we're gonna look at maybe these 10 people. Before we call those 10 people for an interview, we look at all of their social media.
Yep.
We look at Facebook, LinkedIn typically right away. I mean, those are typically the top two that we look at, but we'll go as far as looking at some of the other ones as well.
I was gonna say Instagram is kind of a good one that people look at.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I saw we were looking to hire this guy, and then he had these pictures of him like on the beach with all this money and like weird stuff, and we were like, oh, we thought we liked him, but now this is a little weird.
Yeah. So definitely use those privacy settings if you need them. Keep things professional because employers are looking. I mean, we do hear from employers like they look right away.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, you guys feel free to head out.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. I got to get ready to go to work, so I'll see you later.
All right.